So I was thinking about Halo Infinite's story and decided that before I can really dig into that story, I need to talk about Halo's story and lore as a series. So with this in mind, I will be covering the story as it is presented in the Halo games, starting with Halo Combat Evolved. I also plan to stop and cover some of the novels as well, and the plan being that this will culminate with a final video going over Halo Infinite and its story. Hopefully I will have done enough to lay the groundwork for people who don't know the lore or story, and I'm going to try and only talk about the big details of the story and not focus on doing a perfect retelling, especially since the story is pretty light for the first half of the game. So let's just go ahead and get started. So the game starts off on the Pillar of Autumn, where the captain, a man named Keyes, is getting the ship ready for combat. Part of that is waking up Master Chief from cryostasis. After waking up, Chief heads to the bridge where he is briefed on the current situation. He has to take Cortana because of the Cole Protocol. He explains what this is by saying that the protocol does not allow for the capture of an AI because of all the data the enemy can get, including the location of Earth. He then says that he is going to land the ship on the artificial ring world they found. After that, Chief escapes the Autumn as Keyes lands the ship on the ring. After arriving on the ring, Chief starts rallying the surviving Marines while Cortana hacks into the Covenant battle net to get some intel. The command crew of the Autumn was captured and is being held aboard a Covenant ship Cortana damaged during the brief battle over the ring. After gathering the survivors, that ship, called the Truth and Reconciliation, is Chief's next stop. The plan is to use the gravity lift to get aboard and then find the detention area. This means launching a surprise attack against the ship and its defenses. The plan works for the most part, including rescuing Captain Keyes. Keyes then reveals that the ring is called Halo and that the Covenant believes it to be a weapon. Cortana confirms this and says that the Covenant are looking for the control room. Keyes decides that once they are out, that will be their next objective. So they head back through the ship with some Marines who were rescued as well, and they leave in a Covenant dropship because the Pelican dropship could not get close to the ship. Cortana was able to find a map room for Halo called the Silent Cartographer. The plan is to use dropships to attack an island that the Covenant have found with the map room on it. The attack and exploration of the island goes well, but hits a few snags. One is that the Covenant can activate the ring's security systems, locking Chief and Cortana out of the map room. They find and disable the security system, but they have to fight multiple pairs of hunters. Cortana calls in rocket launchers to deal with them, and Chief makes it to the map room while the Marines on the beach die due to Covenant reinforcements. Cortana calls for the Pelican to come get them and head to the control room. They enter into the ring via an underground tunnel and use it to sneak up on the Covenant. As they make their way through the halls and tunnels, Chief finds himself in a series of canyons that are full of Covenant, but also have some surviving Marines. Fighting their way through the canyons, the duo come to the control room, which is heavily guarded by Covenant forces. Of course, Chief destroys them and plugs Cortana into the control room's computer. Up to this point, Cortana has been a bit sassy and sarcastic, but now when she talks to Chief, she's being really rude and talking down to him. He just wants to know how Halo can be used as a weapon, as that's the intel they got from the Covenant. And here's Cortana saying that the ring is far more than a weapon, but before she can elaborate, she tells Chief to stop Keyes. Chief runs out and takes a Pelican to where Keyes was dropped to as well. See, during the mission to find the Silent Cartographer, Keyes mentions that he was going after a Covenant weapons cache. After arriving in a swamp, Chief fights some random Covenant troops while his motion tracker shows friendlies are nearby. Entering into the Forerunner structure that has the cache, Chief finds more and more evidence that things are not well. There are places where blood coats the walls, the Covenant troops are scared and alone, and a lone Marine keeps shooting at him in a panicked state. And of course, this is all brought to a horrid crescendo when Chief views the recording from one of the Marines' helmets. It shows the team dealing with much of the same things that he dealt with and several of the new enemy as they devour Keyes and the others. Chief fights his way out of the structure and a group of Marines look to him for direction. The Pelican lets them all know that they have to head to a tower nearby. They head there and the Marines all die, but Chief is saved by the Monitor and his Sentinels. The Monitor, named Guilty Spark, is obsessed with Chief retrieving the index and keeps babbling as they move through the library, which is full of the Flood. Spark explains and name drops the Parasite, which makes the hardest level in the game double as a Lord Dump if you pay attention to Spark's dialogue. Chief manages to get through it and retrieve the index, which is vital for activating Halo. Spark teleports Chief back to the control room, and at first Chief seems hesitant, but he puts the index back into the control room's computer. Cortana stops him and reveals herself to Spark. She downloads the index so Spark can't activate Halo. He isn't happy about it, and Chief just wants everyone to take a minute to talk. This is when Cortana reveals the truth that the ring kills all life within its radius. Chief rounds on Spark asking if it was true, and Spark confirms and then confuses Chief for someone else before deciding to kill Chief and take Cortana. Of course, this doesn't work, but points for effort. Cortana works on a plan to sabotage the ring, which involves destroying the fire control mechanism in the canyon from before, except now they are full of flood and the Covenant are losing. Of course, Chief manages it using a combination of quick reflexes, clever thinking, and a few cases of hijacking. All the while, Cortana is trying to find where the Pillar of Autumn is and where Keyes is. Cortana figures that the Autumn's engines going critical could destabilize the ring and destroy it, which would be the only way to stop the monitor from activating the ring and the flood from leaving it. But she can't override the safeties built into the engine, so she needs Keyes' override commands. And of course, no surprise, Cortana finds both of them by the time the mission is over. Chief starts to head out, but Cortana offers to teleport them and Chief agrees. She teleports them back to the Truth and Reconciliation, which has taken massive damage since the last time they were there. And on top of that, the Flood are swarming the place. Spark mentioned that the Flood were repairing the ship, so more than likely the battle between the two is the reason for the ship's current state, despite the fact that both are trying to get it into a state of repair where they can use it to lead. Chief fights his way through the madness and gets the Keyes, or at least what's left of him. Cortana starts to appeal to Chief's sense of duty, but then switches to appeal to his humanity instead, talking about what Keyes would want of them. Chief punches the skull of Keyes and retrieves his CNS implant, and the two get out of there as soon as possible. Chief arrives back on board the Autumn, and much like at the start of the game, he fights his way to the bridge. When they get there, Cortana sets up the timer and prepares to blow the engines. As they are about to leave, Spark interjects and stops it. Spark rambles about wanting to read all of human history and how Chief is being mean for not wanting to blow up the ring, which Chief and Cortana obviously ignore. The two come up with a plan to blow the engines manually using explosives. Thankfully, getting to the engine room just requires fighting through an army of Flood, the Sentinels, and the Covenant's most elite forces. And once Chief gets there, he has an armory full of rockets and grenades to deal with the engine. And to make things easy, the Flood and Sentinels are fighting for the control room. And after all that, the elevator that he needs to take to get out has Covenant in it waiting to ambush him. After that, Chief takes a nice relaxing drive across the top of the ship while it's exploding and doubling as a war zone. The idea is that the Pelican will pick them up, but once they get to where it's supposed to do so, it ends up getting shot down instead. So Cortana quickly figures out that a single fighter is left and her and Chief head to it. They barely escape the blast as the Autumn's engines blow and Halo is destroyed. Now, I could go into a deep dive on the lore, but I will try to stick to the important bits. First, we get a clear picture of how this war is going in the first mission. Short version is, it's not going well. We also learned a lot about the Covenant and what they are capable of through how they talk about things or how they react to the Flood and the humans. We also get a lot about the Flood and the Forerunners. The Flood's ability to adapt and grow, combined with Spark's own analysis, shows that they are a serious threat to be reckoned with. We also get some insight into the UNSC and how they operate. The fact that they are willing to make a soldier like Chief, but still invest enough in Marines that they don't die instantly in combat, shows that they care about their people surviving. And then we have the Covenant, who have an entire race that acts as cannon fodder. Also, the fact that the Forerunners were able to build something like Halo is extremely impressive, but it makes you wonder why they went with building a superweapon to fight the Flood instead of building something to fight the Flood directly. There's more to go over, but if there is anything that needs to be explained in future, whether it be from a game or a novel, I will do so, but I think really that's about all that I can add to talking about Halo's story. I will say that the first game is probably the best when it comes to its storytelling, just because there aren't like lengthy cutscenes that explain things, and most of the cutscenes are very short anyways. It's all a very simple story when you get right down to it, which is one of the reasons why I was able to cover it in such a relatively short period of time, but I think that's one of the best things about the first game is that regardless how complicated this could have been, it's actually simple, which is a massive benefit, especially since, as we keep seeing in video games, the stories get more and more convoluted to sometimes to such a point that the plot gets entirely lost because I don't think the writers were thinking through the entirety of their script. But that's enough out of me for now, so until next time, this has been Veiled Shadow.